Hey Epicureans, this is Wolf Holloman here, and look, he's back. He's back in black, Chef Parker Black. We are headed into the Whole Foods store here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to do it today. We've been talking about it, the stuffed pork chop. What are we going to put in it?
If I remember correctly, it was going to be spinach and cheese.
Spinach and cheese, Gorgonzola cheese.
Gorgonzola cheese, that's right.
Cheese, something with a little bit of ash in it.
Yeah.
So we're going to go in here and we're going to talk to my favorite person, Megan, the crazy cheese lady, get some spinach and some chops, some nice thick ones, and we're going to do our back in black pork chops here at Whole Foods Market. Welcome to yet another episode of Lupine Epicurean. I am Paul Wolf Holloman, and this is the Back in Black episode of, we're going to call them Back in Black Stuffed Pork Chops, because Chef Parker Black
Has going to make stuffed pork chops. So
exactly. So, Back in Black. I said it was going to happen. Here it is. So how you doing,
I'm
Parker?
doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I got one of my best friends here. We got food we're getting ready to cook, and then we're going to eat it. What's better than that?
Very little.
Well, we're actually going to do two different kinds.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
Stuffed pork chop.
That's right.
Pork chop? Pork chop. I'm going to do a butterfly cut in a spiral pattern and stuff the spiral. He's going to do the classic.
I've got a classic bone-in cut, which is what you would normally get at a restaurant. And I'm going to stuff it just like he is, but I'm going to do it in the pocket method.
Pocket. So we're going to have pocket and spiral. Those are going to be our two things today. And of course, as you saw there in the teaser, we did run over to the Whole Foods Market. We thought about going guerrilla style with the camera, and then decided, it's a Saturday night, it's 7 o'clock, too many people, not enough. Not to mention the fact, it turns out, my favorite employee, Megan the crazy cheese lady, wasn't there. Not her Saturday. That's all right. Maybe we can talk her into an episode in the future.
Crazy cheese.
So, but let's start where we always start. We're going to go to the ingredients, show you exactly what we're going to be putting in. And our side is actually going to be something I've already made today. A big pot of rice, white rice, that has Mongolian fire oil. It's got basil. It's got garlic. So we've already got that prepared. We'll just heat that up when we're actually ready to eat.
Sounds good to me. I love rice.
So here we are talking about the ingredients for our stuffed pork chop. I'm going to be using a nice butterfly cut. I believe it was center loin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a spiral right through here. Not a real long spiral, just enough to get that meat separated. And then I'm going to be putting some of this Gorgonzola cheese in there, and then stuffing some of the baby spinach that we have in there. And then the seasoning that I'm going to put on my chop is actually some ground margarine. I like that sort of, there's almost a little bit of a pungency to ground margarine as well that I think will complement. Otherwise it's going to be pretty mild, and I want my pork chop to have a good flavor hit. So Parker, what are you going to do with yours?
I am also going to stuff mine with the baby spinach and the Gorgonzola, which we actually and specifically use Gorgonzola Dolce.
Which is, and what's the difference again?
It's a sweeter. You usually have three different types of Gorgonzola. The Dolce, which is sort of a much more mild flavor than your regular Gorgonzola, and then sometimes a Gorgonzola Picante, which is a stronger, sharper flavor.
Sharper. Okay, and that's the key there. It's going to be more of a hit. Yeah. And then you've got that is a center cut bone.
Yes,
right?
Just like yours, they're both center cut. Mine is just still in the bone, while yours was deboned and butterflied.
Okay.
So we have pretty much the exact same cut, just a little different. I am going to use more of an Italian seasoning with little basil. I believe you put some oregano in here too. Did you?
No,
okay,
just the garlic and the basil.
So we just got a little garlic and a little basil, and that will give a nice sort of more of an Italian flavor to match with the Gorgonzola and the spinach.
Now, and again, on the measurements on this, I used about 2 teaspoons of ground margarine. on the basil and the garlic. There's probably a total of about probably 1 teaspoon of each. We're doing this since, of course, like most things on here, this is experiment. I'm starting out with a low level. We may need to add a little bit more. If you're making more than 1 pork chop, obviously you're going to need more. We're just doing 1 pork chop each here, so you'll have to kind of, as I say, Justin Wilson style that to get the right flavor. But start small with these seasonings, since it's going to have a very specific impact on the flavor overall. So, do we need to put some oregano in there, you think?
No, I think it'll be fine. I just remember you mentioned it earlier.
Okay, well, if we need it, we'll put it in there, whatever it takes. So, there we go. Those are our ingredients, and then we're going to get started here.
All right, I've got my bone-in pork chop here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it to make the pocket cut. I'm going to show you how I'm going to kind of stuff it. There's multiple ways that you can do this, but the way that I'm going to do it is a little bit more, I guess, safe. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your knife, and basically what you're doing is you're stabbing in and then just sort of cutting like that. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to go too far over or too far over this way, or you're not going to have a pocket. You're basically going to do what Wolf had there and have a butterfly. So we're going to start sort of right here and just sort of stab in here. And then just cut along the inside of the chop. As you saw, I kind of held it down here. That's so I could not have it cut in a way I didn't want it to cut. Then we're going to cut out this pocket to make sure it'll hold everything that we want it to hold.
And so in a case like this, most times you wouldn't be cutting towards yourself, but this is one of those times when you do.
Yeah, and when you do, you really want to be careful, but I have the bone on the opposite side here, so I wasn't really afraid of that, of stabbing through this way, and then cutting toward myself, I wasn't going hard enough or fast enough to really be aware of that. But if that is something that you're concerned, you can always cut away. For me, it's just a habit to cut toward. I'm going to rinse my hand real quick here.
Yeah, and again, important here that everybody remember when working with food like this, make sure you wash your hands before you start.
Raw meat. All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of my spinach, and I'm actually going to kind of crush it up a little bit and tear a little bit of it, not all of it, but I just want a little torn in the back of my pork chop here. Take a little bit of this gorgonzola. And that really, to be honest, should be all that I need. But we're going to find out after I get it in here. Because I can get it in here, because I might get it in here, and it might not be enough. And then we're just going to shove this in here.
Just like stuffing a turkey.
Just like stuffing a turkey. Now, one of the other reasons that I sort of ripped up the spinach was because I wanted it actually to fit. And once I got it in here, it was going to be ripped up anyway, so meh. Alright, now, as you can see, I don't exactly have everything full up here, but that's okay. If you fill it too full, it's just not going to work. It's going to kind of pour out, it's just going to go everywhere, and it's not going to be what you want it to be. Now, if you want to stuff it full, you can, but be aware that you may need to stuff more of it in there because some of it's going to fall out. But that's pretty much what I'm looking for. Everybody can be different on that. If you want more stuff, like I said, you can. I'm going to take a little bit of this seasoning and just sort of rub it in here because I want the inside to be seasoned. And I'm also going to take a little of that seasoning and rub it on the outside before we bake it.
All right.
And that's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Cool. So we have got us a traditionally stuffed pork chop there with our spinach and gorgonzola.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and do up my spiral cut, and then I'll show you the result of it. So as you can see with mine, what I've done is basically create like a pinwheel. Started from here, worked my way in to get that spiral cut, and it kind of opened it up like a mouth, like Pac-Man. And then I stuffed the cheese along one edge, and then I brought it together, and I stuffed the spinach down into there. So it's not really stuffed per se, like a pocket. But I've seen this done in other places where they've done the spiral cut and then stuffed everything in there. So that's the end result right there. That's my idea of a stuffed pork chop. And then I took the seasoning and then rubbed it into the pork quite a bit there. Ended up having too much. I really only needed a teaspoon instead of 2 teaspoons of that. I am going to add an ingredient that I didn't think about in the beginning. A little bit of olive oil. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on the top of this so that it doesn't completely dry out on me when I'm cooking. And Parker's also added a little bit of salt and pepper, sea salt, freshly ground sea salt, and freshly ground peppercorn to the top of his as well, and rub that in. And so now we're getting ready to actually go ahead and put these in the oven. We've preheated the oven to 350, and we're going to pop them in there. Should take about 15, maybe 20 minutes to get these baked up the way we want them. So there we go. We have our 2 varieties of stuffed pork chops ready to go. So we got our pork chops out of the oven, and they look absolutely awesome. He's got the nice big thick one there with the pocket that's stuffed. I've got the pinwheel, or as I've never told the official, this is a roulade. Mine is more of a roulade than it is a stuffed pork chop. Either way, as long as it tastes good. So, as always, since it's an experiment, now of course it's an experiment for me, Chef Parker Black, I'm sure he's stuffed a few chops in his day.
You could most certainly say that.
The jokes just roll in the back of the head. So, anyway, we're going to give it a try here, and Parker's going to tell us how, and we do have our rice that was made up earlier with basil and garlic and Worcestershire and a little bit of Mongolian fire oil. So let's see what we got here.
Come on.
Oh, man.
At least this is good. And mine is absolutely terrible. Worse than that. It's actually quite tasty. The gorgonzola goes very well with both the spinach and the pork. One of the concerns that I had when we were creating this was overpowering the very light flavor of the pork, which we most certainly have not done. So I think it goes very well together.
Well, and part of it could be the cooking too, because, correct me if I'm wrong here, we've got that one at least, because it was so thick we had to put back in a couple of times. So we've got it right at the edge of cooked.
Yeah.
That thing is definitely not overcooked.
Correct.
So by having that, any natural flavors are still there.
Yes.
Because of how short we cooked it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. And mine, and the seasoning.
The seasoning goes very well. I'm a big fan of both basil and garlic, so to me it's quite adequate, and it goes well with the other flavors. So I mean, nothing's truly overpowering. They meld very well together.
I got to tell you, I'm loving the ground marjoram on here. That I kind of had this idea that the marjoram would kind of add to the pungency of the gorgonzola. And it's exactly what it did. It's
looks like it's created a nice crust kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
Going on there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I could have left it in there a little longer and gotten that a little more, crusty. And of course the spinach and the cheese is great. I'm glad we went with the baby spinach instead of the adult spinach.
Yeah.
And that, there was just like this explosion from the gorgonzola right there that was really good. Well, it's got that good ash in it as well. And then, of course, the rice.
The rice is tasty. I enjoy the rice.
Nice and fluffy. Oh. I would definitely have to do this again.
I agree.
This is one that Cheryl will like when she gets here.
One can only hope.
And we did decide to pick a wine with this one as well, because I keep a small wine rack. We went with a Saint Michel Chateau.
Saint Michel, and it's a Riesling, to be specific.
2008, and it's sweet. We weren't sure how the flavor was going to work, but it complements the flavor pretty dead on. So there you have it. Our Back in Black stuffed pork chops, 2 variations, a roulade and a pocket, and they turned out really, really well.
Yeah, very good.
So there you go. It's great stuff. Give it a try. So here we are. We actually went ahead and ate before we did the outro.
Yeah.
Because
It's because it was good.
It was good. It was really good. Usually I just, but no, we had to. It was, and it's all gone. Every single bite of it.
I got some bone.
Bone. So I want to thank you all for joining us once again for another episode of the Lupine Epicurean. I hope you enjoyed watching us do the
stuffed pork chop.
And the roulade pork chop
right.
with gorgonzola and spinach. And of course, as always, if you want to learn how to do this dish, come on over to the My Foodie website, the Lupine Epicurean, at lupicurean.blogspot.com. And if I can get it in between my fingers in editing, it'll be awesome.
If you can, I don't know how you missed that.
And of course, anytime you want to learn a dish that is inexpensive, creative, experimental, tasty, and quick, then come on back here to the Wicked Wolf Studios channel on YouTube. Oh, and we'll frame this one.
Frame it.
That's beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wicked Wolf Studios channel. So, I want to thank my good friend, Chef Parker Black, for joining us today. And I think, as we said, our official title for this food is going to be the Back in Black stuffed pork chop, right?
Sounds good. Back in Black stuffed pork chop.
Yeah, definitely. So, in the meantime, we will see you in the kitchen.